A banger of a game 5 coming out here between EDG and FPX, and EDG opting for that first pick Nocturne after the Hecarim and Udyr ban coming in there from FPX, and the side of EDG actually banning out the Renekton and the Ngar, more top lane centric bans in on the side of EDG, as the Kai'Sa Rel is countered by the Xayah Alistar and a very quick Silas lock-in coming in, followed by a Rise ban. I'm sorry, what the heck is going on here? What's with the swap side? What's with the swappage here? Because FPX normally are the ones that have their Thresh banned out, have their Rise banned out. EDG here, will they look to ban out the Jace? Because I have a feeling that the Jace pick is going to be highly contested, and they may have to use the first, if not the second ban on that Jace. On the side of FPX, the Rise ban I think is particularly interesting. I suppose they do not like the idea of Rise going up against the Silas. I like that they're picking the mid lane early, kind of mixing it up, not leaving him for the 4th or 5th pick, and then using the last 2 bans probably towards his lane. Will this be an Azir ban coming out here, or Zoe not wanting to allow EDG to get any of that mid priority? This is an indicator to me, EDG, that you need to be very, very afraid. I think there's going to be probably an Olaf pick coming out here, and he's going to try and run it in onto your jungle. So JJ needs to be particularly careful. Will we see the Jace ban, which has been so impactful in both games 3 and 4, once for EDG and once for FPX? Will they allow it to come through? I'm pretty sure a last pick jungler is installed here as the set ban instead comes out. Perhaps EDG like the idea of Gragas into the Jace, as Graves is hovered here. Interesting, not going for the top lane pick. But if you give them the choice, as mentioned, the Olaf, if you give them the chance, I feel like EDG would not mind a blind Jace. What, after all, does badly into a what does well into a Jace, as the Olaf pick is indeed locked in here. FPX, very simple composition. It's just a run in, as they say, and just try and run over your enemy team. And in that case, I think I really like the Gragas pick here. Yep, as it is hovered, because Gragas provides that nice disengage, as does the Orianna. I think Orianna is a great pick here as well. I would have no qualms at all in seeing the Gragas Orianna comes in, though it might kind of mess with EDG's team composition, because the Nocturne wants to go in and the Alistar wants to go in, but Xayah kind of wants to play around her and kite back, as does the Orianna, who can do either one. So perhaps the Gragas wouldn't be the best pick here, but I think Gragas blind is fine, because you can go tank and you can go... What the heck is going on here? You can go tank and you can go AP as well, depending on the matchup, especially since you're going in blind. The Sejuani Hover, I sincerely doubt this is going to be it, but I mean, if it is, I'll have no... It's it! It is! Oh, wait. Is this a Sejuani jungle? I think this is a Sejuani jungle and a Nocturne lane. Interesting. Looks like FPX are completely unfazed, and they're revealing their trump card, the card they actually wanted to play this entire time but didn't want to allude to it at all, so that EDG would not counter pick or even perhaps attempt to ban out, as FPX is the one, surprisingly, according to Discord, who will win this game according to the fans, as the Akali is eventually locked in. This will be Nuguri's Akali? It looks to be so. This will be Nuguri's Akali, as the Sejuani is hurried in the top side. There's no way this is going to be a thing. Is this actually top lane Sejuani? Nani? Whoa, EDG, I don't know if they are like trying to just all in the last second kind of, or this is something they have had planned for a while, and it's just that the way that game 4 went kind of rocked them to their core, to the point where they need now to whip out their secret technology in order to beat FPX. Maybe that's just how they feel, as game 4 was pretty one-sided. It felt kind of in the middle for a bit, but eventually it just all went to hell, as Nuguri actually is the one going on that Silas. I think Silas has a great time versus tanks, especially when he maxes out his Kingslayer. He's going to have infinite sustain pretty much against a phase rush Sejuani. Okay! I like the way this is going, I suppose. JJ with lethal tempo. Nothing too out of the ordinary for either side here. As we see, Doing B's statistics, not really like the most impressive. In fact, his damage is perhaps the lowest of the entire tournament. But we know that Doing B isn't really... Doing B doesn't win by one-shotting anybody or stomping his lead, you know? He groups up and plays with his team. That's why we love watching FPX, because it's a team-centered team, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, going into level 1, one ward has been dropped at the Pixel Bush by the looks of it, as EDG gets a leashed start bot lane. And this time it is a real role reversal sequence, I suppose, as Olaf is starting in the top side without a leash. FPX showing across the map. So EDG have no clue at all where he will be unless Scout gets a push out in the early game and then wards over the Raptor wall, which I think is what he's going to want to do. While doing, he's going to want to try and deny that as Crisp and Mako just going at each other as the mount up comes in, scooping back Mako, but Aftershock triggered by both supports as they allow to trade back and forth a little bit. Crisp coming out slightly ahead as Mako is put beneath half HP. Unfortunately, level 1 Alistar is not perhaps the most useful champion in the game. He is effective against a Rel if Rel uses Crash Down, but with the Rel jumping off with Crisp jumping off of his mount and then using his scoop up, his mount up in order to get Mako, there's really no reaction that he can have unless he maxes Q first. Now, level 2 has been hit by the members of FPX's bot lane as they walk up to try and get some harass onto EDG while possible. Looks like a caution ping is put down in the mid lane. I suppose they're trying to predict where the heck Tian is. Tian kind of low on mana with the red buff start. It's actually falling a little bit behind in terms of tempo against the Nocturne, but it's because Nocturne opted to skip out on his Krugs, so they are relatively even on CS for now. But Olaf, of course, is one of the fastest dueling and farming junglers in the early game, as to be expected. Looking at both the team compositions, who does better here? Now, FPX, I'm pretty sure you know their mid game is much stronger, as looks like JJ looking to just apply some pressure, not really wanting to get any attempt here at perhaps ganking, because he knows he kind of needs his ultimate, needs to power farm. As a result, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't take his Krugs, because it's not like Nocturne has a particularly hard time taking Krugs. As Elderbeck steps out too far, gets hit by Pulverized up, and Viper throwing in some feathers. Luckily for Elderbeck's, Viper did not have his feather recall over there, or I think Elderbeck's may have died straight out. Tian at full HP and regenerating mana, very comfortably finishing out the Scuttle Crab. Probably walks in to try and get a ward and will recall straight away as to be expected in this top lane. It's very interesting. I feel like Nuguri is going to have complete dictation of this. Dictation? It's going to be completely dictating this this lane. Because I don't think Sejuani possesses enough burst or even sustained damage to keep up with Nuguri. So Nuguri is gonna have to watch out probably for JJ hitting level 6, because JJ probably is gonna try and gank him over and over and over again. The Nocturne with lethal tempo and Sejuani with her freezing ability is actually kind of sinister now that I think about it, because like he's gonna attack so fast and she's just gonna freeze him over and over again. In the mid lane, Scout having a hard time keeping up with Doing B's ability to push, considering Doing B is a beloved energy consuming champion rather than a secondary resource that is mana, as Nuguri and Flandre are just going at each other. Nuguri is just having the time of his life, Flandre not so much as a force is flashed out. And I'm not quite sure what they expected in this lane, honestly. Flandre is not doing bad in terms of CS, but in terms of like how the wave is going, he's very much suffering. And I'm pretty sure he's heavily reliant on JJ to come up here, trigger his lethal tempo, and freeze Nuguri to death. The dragon is spawning, and Ken is walking into the jungle. Will he bust plant over? He does, into a level 4 JJ, and 1 level lead. Actually, he's just tearing into him. Scout is around the corner, however. Ken does not have Ragnarok and will be feared out by JJ, but JJ realizing that he just is here for the wolf camp, just smites it away, tries to get away, but JJ is hit out by the slow from the 5-point strike. Forced the flash, but in comes Doing B with the auto attack, and Scout taken very low as well, has no mana to trade it for. Doing the nice little rotations here as the mid priority goes down. Elderbeck get headbutt and pulverized forward, but it is too far and Viper cannot follow up. Viper just trying to push in the wave and get a recall off. Elderbeck's in yet again a spicy position there as Mako jumps forward, pressures Elderbeck off of the wave and allows his AD carry to just get away with pushing in the wave. Ken recalling right on a ward, but there is no one in position to stop him. Ken, I like these initial moves. It's back to the RNG games, boys, where FPX are just attacking the jungle now. That's what you get the pushing lanes for, and that's why you get these stronger lanes, even though technically you kind of had it. I don't know. As Doing B going in onto Scout. Scout has not recalled. Scout is still level 5. Doing B one-shotting him. It's quite unfair because he did get a recall off and he was level 6. So Doing B seeing his advantage, he might be the lowest damaging mid laner in the entire LPL, but he is still a pro player, and that kind of disrespect just will not fly. You know, he will not allow you to just stand under tower with 1/4 HP and no mana without your ultimate, without even recalling, and get away with it. JJ now with his entire bot side respawning is about 2 camps away from hitting level 6. Tian is, I think, after this going to be level 6. Will he be? I think so. Is it still 48 CS? 40. Yep. There we go. as Tian, with his level lead, I fully expect him to just start up this dragon. He has nothing to fear, as Doing B in the mid lane is super strong as well. As we see here, half HP, little bit of mana, Doing B just pressing R instantly, realizing that there is nothing to fear, hitting the Shuriken as well, and then unceremoniously just one-shotting him. If you've ever watched Doing B stream, you know he types like a madman. He types super fast, and he also times everything. So he knows that Scout has flash still. Okay, interesting. He knows all the summoner spells that are going down across the map. I don't think it even is crisp at this point that times them. Generally, you feel that it ought to be, not ought to be, but generally it is the support who times everything. But in this case, it is most definitely Doing B in full control, wanting to make plays, looking at the summoner spell timings in order to determine what plays can be made. Now, I forgot to mention at the start of the game where each team will be playing around. So now it's more relevant because JJ is actually level 6, so he can actually play around a lane. Now it's going to be a pretty mighty hard to kill Doing B with the movements, with the mobility he gets in a short lane, which means that chances are they will want to play towards bottom side or just scale. Just want the idea I think for EDG right now is just to scale. But of course, they want to kind of play towards bottom side, I think, because that's where most of the damage is going to come from. Flandre being fed is really not going to get them anything. He's not going to be Omega unkillable either, because LWX is going to be able to shred him eventually. So, EDG, for sure playing towards the mid or bottom side of the map. On the side of FPX, it looks like their main priority was to attack JJ in the early game. Let's see if that transitions through and continues on into the mid game, as they can play towards literally any of the 3 lanes. A lot of I think that's why EDG are probably going to lose this game, is because FPX just have so many options available to them in the early game. You're not taking anything away from them. As JJ tries to start out Rift Herald, Mako has come up here as along with his AD carry. Viper is in the mid lane. LWX is actually a little bit faster in his rotation this game than he was in the last game, as currently it is a 4v4 situation. Level 7 Ragnarok and Roll runs in, but unfortunately Mako is still level 5, does not have the Unbreakable Will. It will not be able to tank up anything as the Featherstorm comes in, kind of zoning out FPX. Feathers have that, he'll be recalled as Chris jumps in with his ultimate, pulling in 3 people, stunning out 2 as Mako finally tries to hit, but Doing B out as Viper is one-shotted. This is catastrophe as EDG perishes beneath the gaze of FPX. And although Rift Herald does go towards EDG, no one is alive to pick it up. Crisp going in with the Rel, with his magnetism and his attract repel, CCing up 4 people with his ultimate, and then 2 with his attract repel, and then Doing B, I think he was salivating slightly there. I might have to get him a napkin of sorts, because he just cut through EDG like they were butter, like they did not exist. I don't even know which ultimate Nuguri stole in that fight. It might have been Orianna ultimate, because that would have been devastating. Let's see here what happens. So in goes Mako onto the Ragnarok Tian, and then Nuguri is just stalling. Nuguri is just literally pulling away the entire enemy team, and then Chris, seeing his opportunity, using his ultimate, pulling in literally 4 people and then stunning out. And look at that! Oh my god, Doing B! I think he was mushing that R-key like you would not imagine. Holy cow. That was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. That's potentially game ending, because you have a lot of scaling on the side of EDG, in the mid lane, in the bot lane. To a certain extent, I suppose, in the top lane, because I guess a tank in the late game is super handy, but a tank right now is not going to feel real good going into Nuguri. I wonder if Nuguri is going to go with his Everfrost this build or go for the Leandris in order to just shred out Flandre even more. It's not like you need him to not move, and it's going to be pretty hard to Everfrost up a Xayah. So I guess that kind of depends, but right now, I don't know. It's hard to say. Tian now, making his way towards the bot side, gets spotted out by a ward and will be able to get a little bit more vision score for himself. In the mid lane, Doing B 4-0 and 2 has finished up his Night Harvester, is the first champion in the entire game to finish up his mythic item. He's kind of spoiled right there, because he has got all the CS he needs, as well as 4 kills and 2 assists to boot, as the bot lane of FPX is chosen to be the lane that Tian wants to play through for this part of the game, as Nuguri just clearing out the wave under the safety of his tower. Looks like EDG are rotating 3 people up there to try and get him. Paranoia is available, as is Shockwave and the Bola Strike as well, the big icy Bola Strike. But Tian is running up now to ensure that his top laner is safe, as well as pick up his Krugs. Viper, not quite sure where the enemy laners are, does have his ultimate in a few seconds, and it's probably when he will walk up in a few ticks. There it is, it just came up right now. Dragon is spawning in 45 seconds. I'm pretty sure FPX will be on the ball for that. They've already lost Rift Herald and there's nothing across the map. Nuguri has teleports in a few ticks as well, but Flandre does as... Oh, Doing B has... Interesting. FPX have both of their solar lane teleports up in a tick, while EDG already have theirs. Which means for this next dragon fight, there will be no summoner spell advantages aside from... No, literally none. Both AD carries don't have heal, but both have flash. Interesting. So next fight is going to be about as even as possible. FPX, don't get me wrong, are mightily ahead. If you look at the gold, they're about 4 to 5k gold ahead in the early game. 12 minutes into the game, they already have that much of a lead. Already a 20 CS lead acquired in the bottom side as well in favor of FPX, as LWX and Chris make short work of them. Nuguri actually taking a lot of damage. I don't know if he tried to tower dive him or something, as the Bola comes in. Paranoia jumps in as well. I don't think that Nuguri is going to be able to survive this, which means that the dragon on the other side of the map will probably go in favor of FPX. Small price to pay, I suppose. JJ going for the Bruiser build by the looks of it, with the Stride Breaker or maybe even a Gore Drinker, though I fully expect it to be a Stride Breaker pick up, which is, you know, that is one champion that definitely falls off. Now, he doesn't fall off as hard when he goes for his Bruiser build, but he still kind of doesn't, he lacks the threat of one-shotting somebody. And again, Kai'Sa's a bit too slippery to one-shot, I suppose. I don't know about the Nocturne pick. I really don't know. I think that EDG kind of got baited into that Nocturne pick here in Game 5, as the Void Seeker comes in and will find what it seeks, and that is a Viper and Miko in the bot side mini pixel bush, as Tian is about to be face checked there by Scout. JJ does not have his ultimate. Tian looks to be just running away after acquiring the red buff, as 3 plates go over in favor of FPX's bottom lane. LWX somehow managing to get some nice spacing on. And yeah, okay, Frostfire Gauntlet coming in there for Flandre. It looks like Nuguri is still working towards his Everfrost, wanting to use some of that icy goodness on to Flandre, which is kind of funny. The irony is abounds indeed, as Tian is pretty much just living in the jungle of JJ. JJ, if he doesn't try to counter jungle Tian right now, is going to be experiencing some problem. He is standing across a ridge with Crisp staring at him as well. Crisp channeling out his recall, returning to lane to ensure that his AD carry will be safe, as Tian just pillages both the buffs, getting himself mightily far ahead. A bunch of pings are going down and they even know exactly where he is, as Tian rounds the corner, helping to push Flandre out of this. Doing B is here as well to see if Flandre will step up. I don't think they have any form of gap closer that's long enough with that. No Everfrost available for Nuguri, which means that Flandre with his dash is most likely going to be fine, but can do nothing but watch as his tower falls at the 14-minute mark, as platings fall as well. Really nothing he could have done over there. His team was completely out of position for that. And EDG in this initial part is looking very grim. Chris running forward with vengeance, with his mount up movement speed, just sprinting at Viper. Viper had his field, had his flash, had his ultimate available, and I think thankfully for him, Rel has a very telegraphed engage, unless he chooses to flash ult him, which wouldn't have done anything at all either way. Let's see what happens here as Rift Herald is spawning up again. Will we see the bot laners both rotate up, as Mako, we see him making his way through his own bot side jungle, as the assist me pings are coming down on the side of EDG. Both the bot laners for FPX, after pushing in the bot wave, are rotating up as well. Doing be spotted out onto the Scuttle Crab. JJ level 9 to the level 10 of Tian. Looks to be pretty grim, not gonna lie, people, as EDG undoubtedly feeling a bit shaky, a bit anxious at this point in time, because it is exactly here where the last catastrophe unfolded right in front of their very eyes, as Doing B just executed most of the team, along with Chris following up on Crisp's insane engage. Scout a bit low on mana, does not have blue buff, as that was stolen away by Tian. The FPX's blue buff looks to be going over to Doing B. I'm not sure if Doing B is going to get a leash on that, as in fact, Rift Herald isn't even going to be contested here by EDG. Feeling safe and secure enough denying one Rift Herald, which is good. If you have the scaling composition, just deny one Rift Herald is huge. Denying 2 Rift Heralds is about as big as getting the first 2 dragons on a scaling composition, I do believe. So, all in all, I'm pretty sure EDG, it's not ideal, but it's not ideal, but it's far from not perfect. And with that, EDG have no reason to start a fight, while FPX are just itching to take one, I think, before the next dragon spawns. Next dragon's gonna be a bit suspicious for EDG, as I mean they are working towards finishing up their mythic items so far. Scout is the only one kind of struggling on his team to complete his. Looks like he's also going for Everfrost based on his item build rather than a Liandry's. I suppose not enough tanks on the side of FPX, and there's a lot of mobility that he wants to try and freeze out. Bot lane tier 3 tower is looking to be sieged up here as Tien rounds the corner. Teleports are available for Nuguri as well as Flandre. Scout's teleport is up in a tick as the Undertow comes in scouting out Mako and JJ. Tien is still one level up on his counterpart. Meanwhile, Nuguri is just pushing in. Flandre is actually grouping with his team, realizing that they need to make a pick here. 55 seconds until Dragon spawns. Nuguri does have teleport, however, as FPX make a group decision to recall out onto the map and appear with additional items. It looks like LWX with the Kraken Slayer and Viper opting for the, interestingly enough, Gale Force. Oh, no, Gale Force is interesting. They allow bot tower to fall. I'm not quite sure why they did that, as JJ is looking to try and ult out Doing B. I think Mako is over the wall as well as is Flandre. Doing B does not know how dangerous this is as the last tier 3 outer tower is looking to be sieged down here by the Rift Herald. It won't go down completely, but it will definitely get chunked beyond measure, and there's nothing EDG can do about it. Don't think you can headbutt it away as it gets its damage force. Mako taking a ton of damage in return is the same level as Crisp currently, as Everfrost is completed now by Scout. Teleport is available. I think he might need to use it right away because I don't think a late teleport is going to assist his team at all, as Dragon is started up by the Undertow, realizing this Flandre is just backing off to the top side. EDG respecting the power that FPX's composition has in this part of the game and backing off unceremoniously. Dragon Soul will be up in 5 minutes time. 22 minutes into the game, EDG will be forced into a situation where they will most likely need to fight. That being said, Mountain Dragon is probably not the biggest problem here for FPX, for EDG, but FPX may benefit a lot from that. At least the Rel will, as will the Olaf, as Scout makes his presence known by throwing in the ball. Smite comes in to secure out the red buff. Yet again, JJ with nothing left pretty much, as Flandre walks down after pushing out the top wave to try and support his jungler, as well as Mako walking up as well to get some vision, probably in the top side jungle of FPX. Nuguri could potentially be Doven here, does not have anyone walking towards him right now, doesn't have any assistance coming. Flandre in position to initiate the dive, as is Mako blast planting over the Krug wall with his jungler. But I think he realizes the peril that he was in and just quickly skedaddles out of there. Doing B is now going towards the bot side. Looks like FPX playing a 1-3-1 combo right now. A lot of engage and run it down on you in the mid lane, as well as a lot of kill pressure in the side lane. So far, FPX looking mighty comfortable. Referring back to the goal lead, looks like we're back at 4K. Bot side vision actually decently in favor of FPX. EDG's vision is still exceptional. They have full vision almost in the top side jungle of FPX, and then they have pretty decent vision in their own bot side jungle as the last outer tower falls finally to FPX. Doing B walking past the pick. Wow. Oh, okay. I think someone like replaced that ward, because I'm pretty sure I was like, did Doing B just one shot that ward? Scout, knowing that Doing B is in the area, really won't do anything, as Viper is working his way now towards his Essen Reaver, I believe. I'm surprised that he opted to not go for the Sheen first, actually opting to get the crit cloak. I suppose he was 100 gold off. Uncomfortable indeed, as Mako is rotating down towards the bot side to assist his mid laner, because Doing B is walking forward with malicious intent for sure. Scout standing on the back half of the tower sees now that control ward. Will he be baited into going for a 10 walking forward? Whew. Tension. JJ is walking up towards the top side. Now he could be looking for an ult onto Nuguri, as the three players on the mid side of FPX are actually grouping together so well. So far, JJ on his Nocturne pick has actually only used his ultimate once, if I'm not mistaken, and that was in the top lane. Otherwise, it's only been another time in a team fight. Dragon is spawning in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and Baron is up as well. Viper checking what he can with his feathers, and I must say, this Nocturne pick is not really doing much, especially considering the fact that they're like the Sejuani pick really doesn't do much either. Now we're gonna be fair. We're gonna say that Flandre hasn't really done anything bad. He's survived lane, kept up in CS, and in the end he's gonna be a huge utility boost for his team. That being said, he's also not been able to kind of like be a threat in the team fight so far, and Nuguri has most definitely been that said threat. See, Nuguri is just able to push up here with impunity, and I mean Flandre, yeah, he has to walk up and contest the waves a little bit. Nuguri, I'm surprised he's not fighting him. Then does have Conqueror as well, and probably will just outbeat Flandre to death. But seems to be paying him enough respects, as both AD carries finish up their second items. Doing B looking to go for a very defensive build here with the Zonias, as well as perhaps working towards the Banshees Veil. All 5 members of FPX are in the top side. As Paranoia goes down, pings are going down, and nothing happens. Interesting. Not quite sure what the play was there. Not quite sure what JJ saw as the play over there. But I suppose at least we get to see part of a Paranoia as JJ and Flandre fight over the Wolf Camp. Dragon spawning any minute. Alright, so now, here it is. Moment of truth. Teleport coming in there in the mid lane for Doomby as Nugi goes in onto Flandre, realizing, oh, that's why he didn't go in just now, because the Paranoia was up. Now Nuguri realizes there's nothing to be afraid of. Paranoia is at least on cooldown for perhaps another minute to 40 seconds, and there's no way a Shadow is going to enter from the side and just kind of apply a lot of damage and pressure to him. Tien, with his second item, opts to go for the Randuin's Omen rather than a Sterox, as teleport is coming in here for Silas, as well as Scout teleporting back into lane. Flandre does have his teleport and will most definitely need to start using it probably before. There we go. A bit far forward as Chris is stepping up. Chris does have his Magnet Storm. In comes Everfrost, but it misses out. Mako taking a bit of damage from the Undertows, as well as the Praise Void Seeker, I do believe, as Doing B throws in the Shuriken. Nothing happens. FPX with complete control of the river. 2 pink wards in the bush, as the Pixel Bush is completely warded out. FPX instantly starting it out. Alright, people to watch in this. Doing B, Tien, Nuguri, and for the side of EDG to make sure that Viper stays alive and see what damage happens. As in comes the Paranoia, Dragon is smited away because the advantage is in favor heavily of Tien, who is 2 levels, if not 1 level up, if I'm not mistaken. Chris still has his ultimate as Doing B jumps in with the Night Harvester, flashing in. In comes LWX straight into a Pulverize, into an Everfrost as she shut down, but so is Viper as the hammer comes down. Mako is just being CC'd up, forced to flash over the wall. Tien is tanking up so much of the damage. Viper, there's really, I mean, LWX suicided into himself, but Nuguri is just chasing down, wants some Kobe beef for dinner, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get it, as in comes the poke from Chris, just skewering the cow, kind of sataying him and just leaving him high and dry. Flandre, as tanky as you are, but you really weren't very useful in that fight. And LWX kind of ulting into his own demise, straight into a Pulverize coming in there, and an Everfrost followed by an Orianna ulti. LWX pretty much ulted in, flew, and then hit a lot of turbulence, and got blasted out of the air. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to want to experience that again. Probably has to choose a little bit of better positioning. On the other side of this, Viper was even Viper had a lot of a less interactive time than you think. So in comes the Paranoia. Actually, it's a 1 level disadvantage going in onto Tien, not to try and one-shot him or anything, just to try and get as close to the dragon as possible, as they're completely zoned out. Doing using the second part of his ultimate to go in. That's probably why he didn't have such a good time. As he jumps in, I think is headbutted out of the fight. Then in comes LWX, and this is where Scout turns around, just unloads onto him. But in the meantime, Tien unloading onto Viper in exchange. Looks like Baron is being started up here by the members of FPX. Flandre is in the bot side, does not have teleport, and in the mid lane, Viper is just pushing nonchalantly. It looks like JJ is being jumped into. Gets his fear off. That's probably what's going to save his life. But Doobie jumps forward with the with the ultimate. Mako caught completely out of position, does not have any way to go but back to the fountain in accelerated fashion as LWX picks him up again. Barons in LPL. Pooh. FPX just taking a lot of Barons. 67% of Barons. It means 2 out of every 3 Barons in a 2 out of every 3 Barons in every LPL game they played in 2021 spring actually has gone in their favor. FPX just running people over, I suppose. It's just the what I'm reading from that. Crisp at level 10. Flash is available. Can perhaps look to go in. Viper does not have his Flash. Does have his ultimate, however, and a Gale Force as Nuguri steps forward, trying to get Everfrost in onto Viper and JJ. Viper stepping forward, actually playing very aggressively, kind of teasing out the members of FPX. I am not going to lie. Viper is pretty much the only hope that EDG have at this point in time, as is Scout. Being caught in transition could be exactly what FPX EDG needs, but Viper is just being run down as JJ with the fear coming out, but the Ragnarok is there as well. In comes Doing B onto Mako. Mako just pushing him away with the headbutt as the Paranoia comes in, but Scout is instantly one-shotted. Tien's gonna get one-shotted back by JJ under tower. JJ is ignited up. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to survive this as LWX jumps in to just finish him off. Mako jumps in to save Flandre and actually manages to get a kill onto Chris because he was tanking out both the towers, but this looks to be the game, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm not even quite sure sure how Scout was so one-shotted back there. Doing B was playing around with Mako on the side. Not quite sure what LWX and Doing B was. There's too much mobility in the side of FPX for me to keep track with my poor caster eyes. As LWX is running forward, does not have very much mana left, but with just 2 tanks available, and the next person coming up is Scout in 15 seconds. I'm pretty sure that this game is over. In comes Doing B with his ult, with his teleport, as Nuguri jumps in with the Everfrost, freezing up the 2 members. Mako dodging away as best as he can. 5-point strike comes in, it's actually taken super low, but Nuguri is being beaten down there by Flandre. Does he have Kingston? There he does have it. It's really hard for a tank to kill out. Woohoo! As Nuguri is dead here. I see one-shot Scout here unceremoniously, spectacularly. Doesn't look to be the case, as EDG, against all odds, actually managed to hold that with just Mako and Flandre, somehow not allowing the remaining members of FPX to close out the game here. Doing B, in spite of having double tank items, I'm going to say, in terms of being an AD here. And let's see what happens to Scout here. Okay, so Scout is completely safe behind 2 beefy tanks. Viper is taken extremely low, and then in comes Nuguri. Nuguri tanking up for days with his... Oh, Crisp! Chris one-shots him. Chris facilitates his one-shotation. Very nice, and Eldervis had enough of JJ thinking he's going to escape. Just jumps out. Viper getting hit by the second part of Nuguri's E. Unfortunate. Mako trying to go in and save his AD carry, but I didn't expect him to get hit by that either. Fair enough, fair enough. LWX actually opting for a rapid fire cannon here, as opposed to a Phantom Dancer or a Runan's Hurricane. Interesting. I suppose he just wants to be able to get the shot off that will probably push anyone over into the brink of death, as the teleport comes in from Nuguri to help secure the last, looks like the second last tower of EDG's side, as Nuguri yet again has the unbreakable will be able to just tank up the members of EDG with impunity pretty much at this point in time, as a 2-3 split is coming in here. Both the solo laners come in from a angle, from a flank. A complete flank is available. Nuguri is engaged on there by Flandre, but does have the unbreakable. Chris stepping up as well. Alablex and can make short work of the tower. There is now only 3 structures left available for EDG, as that number quickly dwindles to a 2. EDG had scurrying, just trying to hold what they can under the remaining tower. Mako unleashing getting the Catherine Rain unleashed onto him, as Nuguri just poke in from the sky. Scout is zoned out. Flandre forced to go in onto Nuguri to try and save his team from the onslaught, but he's just tanking it out again with the unbreakable. Ultimate comes in, goes in straight onto Tien. Paranoia comes in. Who's he gonna jump on? He jumps onto Tien, but Tien is so tanky, as in comes Doing B into the backline. Gets headbutt the pulverized around, dancing the skirts of the fountain as Nuguri jumps in. Doing B forced into the Zonias, as everyone is so low on the side of EDG, but perhaps they can hold this. But in goes the FPX for the Nexus, and EDG, try as they may, were not able at all to push FPX away. They were resisting, they were not dying, but eventually, EDG, you need to do more than that, and FPX just shoved them with brute force, with the wallets they've acquired across this game, shove them back into the fountain, and then take their Nexus from right in front of them, from under their noses, before their very eyes, in gazing straight into their souls. FPX, a cold-hearted way of ending out the game, but alas, that is the competitive world that we have come to love from watching LOL esports, ladies and gentlemen, I suppose. And without further ado, I suppose there's nothing too much to say about that. FPX just drafting a better team composition and playing towards the draft strongly, not allowing EDG to scale towards the end. And with that, they just run away with the game. Thank you so much for following me along, tagging along in this roller coaster ride of a 5-game series between EDG and FPX. Tomorrow, I think we'll go for the finals, which I think it's FPX vs RNG again. And I'm really looking forward to this because we have some history, ladies and gentlemen. The teams have history. We have history. We've watched it. Let's go. And with that, we'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya!